the reason I'm a pastor is because I think I like people. And so if I'm not spending time with people,
right.
like, what am I doing then?
What do you see, either Hope Lutheran in general or just church in general, with today's rapidly changing world?
There's so much, and what you're seeing is this rise in mental health challenges that folks are having, because it's too much.
Yeah.
Like, we're not meant to have that much information. Whether the world stays the exact same or it changes, this is always going to be there. That's the sure and certain foundation you can build a life on.
I love that. I got goosebumps. Like, that was awesome, man. I'm serious. I did. What's going on, everybody? Kyle Powers here, Haven Real Estate Group at eXp Realty, here with another episode of Local Legends of the Flint Hills, where business meets community. Today, I've got a very special guest with me, friend, client, and just an all-around good guy. This is Dan Schmidt, the pastor at Hope Lutheran Church. Dan, thank you so much for joining me, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And thanks for being my realtor, by the way. Getting me a house when we moved
Of course, man. But hey, we're here to talk about you, and I'm really excited about this, to get you guys out here, because you guys have gone through a lot, and you've gone through a lot of changes lately, and good changes, right? And I'm excited about to hear about it. But before we talk about Hope Lutheran and the church and everything that goes with that, how did you and your family end up down here?
Yeah, great question. So I'm from Wisconsin. My wife, Cameron, she's from Minnesota. We met in Wisconsin while I was studying to be a pastor there, north of Milwaukee, in a town called Mequon. I was going to the seminary. And so right out of the seminary, the way it works, we're part of a national church body. And I didn't choose where I was going to go to start. I just got sent somewhere. And so right out of the seminary, the first place I got sent wasn't Manhattan, Kansas. I got sent to a boarding school, a Lutheran boarding school in Wisconsin. And basically what that meant was that I was going to be a campus pastor and a dorm supervisor and a religion teacher and a coach. And basically, you're like a full-time dad for 40 plus boys on your floor, and then the 200 boys that are in the dorms. So our national church body recognizes that's not something that's sustainable long-term for someone. And so they say, you're only going to do that for 2 years. Then I got reassigned, is the way that we talk about it.
Sure.
Reassigned to Manhattan, Kansas. So I got sent here. There was a church here in Kansas, Hope Lutheran Church, that needed a pastor. I was eligible to get sent here. And so that's how we end up in Manhattan. And been here about 2 years now. So August 23 is when I... Literally this last Sunday was 2 years that we've been here in Manhattan. And so we're loving it and just trying to dig roots, dig deep, and get to know the community and love the community and get to know more about Manhattan and what makes Manhattan great, and the Flint Hills in general too. So
goes by quick, doesn't it?
It goes super quick. Yeah. Since then we've had one son, our first son, and so we're growing our family. Growing it right here in Manhattan, and he was actually born over in Junction City, but we're here in Manhattan, and just excited to keep growing our family right here. Yeah,
that's a great spot too. So I enjoy it.
Yeah.
Glad you guys are here with us. So let's kind of jump into the church aspect of it all. So again, we've talked a lot off camera. We talked a lot of everything, but I want to give you the opportunity. I want to ask you kind of, what is your mission with Hope Lutheran Church? What is the church's overall mission, and what does that look like?
Yeah, so the way I talk about our mission is we're Hope Lutheran Church, and we want to share real hope with real people. And just to break that down a little bit, what do I mean when I talk about real hope? I'm talking about the fact that there are so many things in life that are shaky and uncertain and just always changing, constantly changing. And so we want to be a church that gives something sure, gives something solid, gives something that endures beyond just like the 5 minutes when things feel good, and then 5 minutes later, they're not feeling so good.
Right.
Real hope, something to really hope in. Because a lot of people will say, trust in me, hope in me, whoever that is. And so we have, I believe, something that's real, that's sure, that's certain, a real hope. And then that's for real people. And I think that's an important part too. You know, I'm a pastor, but I certainly have my flaws and my imperfections. And I know we all have our flaws and our imperfections. And maybe we have our questions about church and God and the Bible and Jesus and all of these kinds of things. Real questions from real people. And so, we want to be a church that welcomes people who want to ask hard questions. I love having deep long, thoughtful conversations with people, real people, not just your typical churchy people. It's really easy, I think, for the church to get this idea that like it's us over here and it's the rest of the world over here.
Yeah.
No, the real hope that we have, the hope that we have in Christ, it's for all people. And that's really what we're trying to share and just give to people. It doesn't cost a thing. I'm not trying to get something out of you. I'm not trying to bait and switch you. I just want to give you something that matters.
No, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. So you kind of touched on a little bit, but I'm going to ask it anyway because I think it's relevant is, what, again, you touched on, but what makes Hope Lutheran a little bit more unique than, either another Lutheran church or a different type of church or different congregation or something that way?
Yeah, great question. I actually just had a conversation with someone about this. Like, what is a Lutheran?
Yeah.
And the way I have started to kind of talk about it is when it comes to the real hope that I have, there's so many things in our lives that it's based on me and my performance and what I can do. And so I get really obsessed with myself and I start looking at my own belly button and just staring at myself and what I can do. What I think, and I know this is true of most Christian groups, but I think it's especially prevalent in Lutheran churches, is it's all about what God does for me and it's outside of myself. And so when I'm struggling, when I'm wondering if I am on the right track, instead of looking at myself, I look to Christ. I look to God. I look to Jesus. And I say, what has he done for me? And what promises does he make for me? That's what I run back to over and over again. And then that expresses itself in my life in different ways. A word that I use a lot is vocation. And that word vocation, a lot of times we just think about vocational work. We think of, the nitty-gritty kind of work. Well, when I talk about vocation, I'm talking about how I just get to be a dad and a citizen, and I can be free to just live in all of those things, serve the person who's next to me, because I know I'm right with God. I got this figured out, and so now the rest of my life is just a gift where I'm going to love God and love the neighbor around me. And so I guess that's kind of where when I really boil it down, I don't look at myself when I want to have certainty or hope. I look outside myself and I see what God has done for me. And again, I know that's true of a lot of different Christian groups, but it's something that I treasure deeply in our Lutheran faith that we have. Yeah. So that's kind of the summary, I guess.
Yeah. So Dan, over the years, over the 2 years that you've been here, you guys have been able to really kind of balance serving your congregation as well as continuing to serve and finding new ways. Like I remember, it was probably about a year ago where you reached out to me and we had coffee together and just kind of figuring out some different ways to connect to the community. I guess I want to give you the opportunity, and I want to hear it too. Like, how has that been? How have you guys balanced serving the congregation and balanced serving the community as well?
Yeah. And so I guess don't have to spend a lot of time on it, but a lot has changed in the last 2 years that I've been here.
Yeah.
And so for about the last year, it did feel like it was kind of, the dust is settling, and so it was a lot of trying to serve the people in our congregation. Because so much changed, it was kind of a lot for people to deal with in our congregation. And so for a year, I think it was just kind of saying, okay, everybody's good. I preach on Sundays, but I think being a pastor is more than that. I think being a pastor is also being with people in the hard times and everything like that.
Supporting them in every phase. Yeah.
Exactly. And so a lot of the last year is just, hey, how you doing? Are you good? How can I pray for you? How can I serve you? Different things like that. So now what we're looking to do is try to move into like the next phase of our congregation. Yeah. I would say and one of the big things that I think is an important thing for us to think about as a congregation and me as an individual is how are we going to serve the Manhattan community in some way? And we're a small group right now, but a small group of people can make a big difference. And so 2 weeks ago, just as an example, I went to an event hosted by our local Kanza United Way, where they went through and they had, I think it was 20 plus nonprofit organizations in town. Yeah. And they just said, hey, here are needs that are in our community. And they were asking Kanza United Way to support them in different ways. But it was so insightful for me just to see how many different organizations there are in town And rather than us as a church trying to just like come up with our own new, totally unique program, how can we help support those programs and nonprofits and different organizations that already exist in town and maybe are looking for extra volunteers or extra resources, and how can we partner with what the good work that different groups are already doing here in town. And so like one example of that is real soon here we're trying to partner with Cat's Cupboard, which is the K-State food bank. And so what we're going to be doing in a couple weeks here is we are going to be going through town, or a neighborhood, probably start in just a neighborhood close by maybe to where I live. And the basic idea is we're going to take grocery bags that Dylan's has given to us, put a note on there and leave them on people's doorstep and say, hey, we left this here and we're doing a food drive for Cat's Cupboard, and we'll be back in a week. If you want to give something to Cat's Cupboard, we'll take the donation for you, make the donation in your name, One, we're serving the community, and two, maybe that's an opportunity for us to get to, again, share that real hope for real people. So that's one way I'm always looking for, and I'm always open to ideas from other organizations, groups in town who are trying to serve people and maybe looking for volunteers, looking for a group of people who's ready to jump in. I can't guarantee exactly how many people would be able to help in a situation, but I know I'm available.
I was just going to say, but one person makes a big difference. I mean, like you said, a small group can make a big impact, especially in a community like us. I mean, that's one of the things I do love about Manhattan itself, is we have so many different organizations willing and able and wanting to help. And so, being able to do that one, you and I should talk after we're off camera, because I've got a couple ideas for you too. But there's a lot of that, right? I think that's a lot. I think that's fantastic that you guys, as a congregation, are choosing to, reach out and do those things and serve, right? I think that's a big thing of what you guys do here is go and serve the community, serve your congregation, but more importantly, serve the community in that kind of a way. So, but that kind of talked a little bit about what I was kind of heading into next. But I mean, I think the community outreach and having that faith and community work together. I guess, is there anything else you want to add to that fact of it, of what you would like to see that look like in the near future, and even a couple of years down the road too?
Yeah, I mean, I think it'd be great, when I cast a vision every once in a while to the congregation, it's kind of like, if there was going to be one thing that the people in the community, whether they go to a church or they don't go to church, whether they're religious or non-religious, they know Hope Lutheran is the church that does this thing. I'm still trying to think about what that thing would be. And so again, I'm open to ideas, and I'm open to hearing people out and getting suggestions on that kind of thing. But I would love to have something that, like, there's this thing going on. Hope Lutheran Church is the one who's like there, or that we can count on to show up to this kind of thing. Or an organization knows, like, hey, every year we reach out to Hope because they're the ones who step up when we need to put on whatever the thing is. And so that is something I'm just trying to explore. We're trying to explore right now is, what could be that thing? What could be the thing that, like, we make ours and just kind of roll with it and put our time and energy and resources into it. So
I love that. So Dan, 2 years being here, you've been able to be in that leadership role and everything as a pastor at Hope Lutheran. What have been some of your, I'm going to call them challenges and or lessons that you've learned over that time that you've been a pastor here?
Yeah, great question. Thanks. You come out of the seminary, at least I came out of the seminary, and you've just gone through all the education. You've heard all the different stuff. Part of my seminary education, you also go to a congregation and you kind of intern for a year. And so you see how a church runs and everything. And so you come out of the seminary, you go to your first congregation, and you're thinking like, oh, this is going to be easy. I can figure this all out. And you think you got it all figured out, that you have all the answers. And very quickly you realize, the classroom is way different than real life. And I know every adult is probably told, and I guess I'm an adult technically, but...
Technically, still out there.
Right, still growing. But you think, I've got this all figured out, and then real life happens, and you're with real people who have real needs and really need to be served. And it's really thing that I've learned is like it's amazing to see what can happen when you don't care about who gets the credit.
Yeah.
What I want to do typically, or what I tend to, what I think we all tend to, is like we want the praise, we want the recognition, we want someone to say, oh,
human nature, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Dan, you did such a great job. And like I think there's a place for that. But when I let that fall to the side, and then if someone else says the same thing that I said 100 times and they say it once and everybody else is like, you know what, you're right. That's awesome, And so like that's been, and I'm still in the process of learning that and working through that. But yeah, it's amazing what can happen when ego gets set to the side and you just care about what you're trying to do more
the
than
mission.
Yeah, exactly. The mission. Exactly.
We're all still growing into that too,
Yeah.
because I'm still that way. But you can ask my wife. She thinks the same thing all the time. She's like, I said that 10 times. I'm like, yeah, but it sounded better this way.
Right.
So.
Now I thought of it. So now it's the
exactly.
right thing.
Or this person said it and it sounded good then. So no, I get it, man. And that's a tough one, right? That's a tough one. One, I hope that everybody learns that at some point, but honestly, there are some people that never learn that point, and it's a hard truth to know, I guess, at that point. So,
yeah.
Well, I guess with all of that said, right, like how do you help people with the challenges of life, right? Whether it be personal, spiritual, or just community-wide.
Yeah.
How do you either one approach or two, like how do you continue to help? Or how do you want to help in those senses?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I am always looking to serve like the physical needs of someone and get them in a community. If that's, so many of us are trying to do life on our own. Think that we got to figure it all out by ourselves. And so, like, I'm convicted. Like, I believe that like God didn't make us to do life alone.
Yeah.
He made us to do life with other people. And so like part of what I think is important for people who are going through challenges is, do you have a community of people that you can just bring it all, bring the highs, bring the lows, bring it all to that group. And so like I think that's meeting a need that people in general just have and they need. And it's not that I always go right to it, but when there is so much that's shaky and uncertain and that we're always trying to work through, I want to just give people a sure and certain thing that they can trust in.
Yeah.
That's outside of themselves. It's the promises that God makes for them.
Yeah.
And so, I want to talk to you about the very real things that you're going through right now. I also want to be able to, if I'm able, serve you with like the really big things that are there too, life, eternity, all of that kind of stuff. So just assurance, comfort, meeting the needs, and then hoping that gets to the opportunity to talk about the bigger need that we all have.
I was gonna wait till later to ask her, but I feel like it's kind of pertinent right now too. But like, let's somebody watching this, right? Let's say that they're like, man, I really need somebody. I need something. I need some sort of connection on that side of it, right? What would be your recommendation? But and I guess a little deeper into that one too would be, what would be, they don't know where to reach out. They don't know how to reach out. They've never seen the church. They've never been on any church. I don't care if it's Lutheran. I don't care what it is. What would be your recommendation to them, and what would that look like?
Yeah. So speaking, and I think that's such a good observation to make, because I try to think about it from an outsider's perspective as much as possible.
Sure.
And like if I hadn't grown up in the church, the idea of walking into a church would be so foreign to me. Like,
it's scary, honestly.
Right, it
for
is.
a lot of people, it's scary. Yeah.
Exactly. And so when I am talking with people or trying to encourage people when it comes to this kind of stuff, I think it's okay if the first thing is not attending a worship service or like a small group or a Bible study. Sometimes what I would love, and if you're someone watching it right now, like I love just sitting down and getting a coffee or getting lunch and just talking with someone. And it's not like a commitment to anything. It's just an opportunity to connect with someone. And so if you're someone who's watching this, like, I don't know if I can give my personal,
Your call, dude.
You can text me, call me. My number is 262-354-4269. Email me, pastor@Manhattan Hope. That's how you can connect with me. Or we do meet. Again, I just said it's intimidating for a lot of people. But if you're someone who wants to try church, we meet at All Faiths Chapel on K-State's campus.
Yeah.
Parking's free there on the weekend, so don't worry about having to do the park pass stuff. And we meet at 10 a.m. on Sunday mornings. And right now we're doing a little bit different thing where we have like a condensed worship time, and then we're doing like kind of a Bible study type thing, just to kind of like, because you might have questions, people might have questions, and it's a good way to kind of take things deeper. And so like that's what we're doing right now. But again, if that's not something that a person's ready for, if that's something that you, if you're watching, aren't ready for, I'm happy to get a coffee, happy to buy you lunch, happy to meet you for supper, or just whatever, talk on the phone. I said it before, I'm a pastor and not just a preacher. I love preaching. I love getting to study and spend time studying and getting ready for a sermon and everything like that. But the reason I'm a pastor is because I think I like people. And so if I'm not spending time with people,
right,
like what am I doing then? And so, yeah, if you're someone who's watching who wants to connect and just ask questions, no sermons, nothing that anybody's going to prepare, I'd love to.
Just a conversation.
Just a conversation. Just get to talk.
Coffee and conversation.
Exactly.
So Dan, again, we kind of talked about how people get a hold of you, just reaching out. And again, it's scary. It's all that kind of stuff. And so I think it transitions really well into what do you see, either Hope Lutheran in general or just church in general, with today's rapidly changing world and with everything that's going on around us, what role do you see you guys playing in that?
Yeah. Another great question. So my initial thought to that is, so I'm reading the book The Anxious Generation right now.
I love that book.
Yeah, by Jonathan Haidt.
Yeah.
And
scary, but
yes. Yeah, right. And just we are constantly flooded and inundated with so much information.
Yeah.
And that's true for all people. It's especially true for young people. And just there's so much, and what you're seeing is this rise in mental health challenges that folks are having because it's too much.
Yeah.
Like we're not meant to have that much information, and it's almost always just like, oh, everything's great, and then you look at your own life and it's like, well, my life's not like the person I see on there.
It's not Instagram worthy.
Exactly. And all of that stuff that we're letting into our heads, and I'm not saying it's all bad, just like get rid of it all, but it's forming and shaping us in different ways.
Yeah.
What do I want to be the thing that's forming and shaping me? Is it all of the billion people in the world, or is it something that's stood the test of 2,000 plus years of history? And so that's where I think the church has a place big time, is like, hey, everything's constantly changing. Here's something that's remained the exact same. The promises are the exact same as they were 1,000 years ago, 2,000 years ago. They're the same today as they were then. And that's something you can rest secure in. And whether the world stays the exact same or it changes, this is always going to be there. And that's a sure and certain foundation you can build a life on.
Dude, I love that. I got goosebumps. Like, that was awesome, man. I'm serious. I did. Like, there's so much truth to what you just said with that, right? Like, there is so much, I'm going to call it noise, right? Like, there's so much noise out there in the world. Like, but having that rock, having that steady, steady time, that steady peace, that time of every Sunday at 10 o'clock to have that little bit of silence, away from all of that stuff and kind of focus and refocus. I think it's something that we need probably every day.
Yeah.
I know I try to take a little bit of time every single day just to kind of refocus my mind because it gets to be a lot. So Dan, before we kind of wrap it up, what would be one piece of wisdom and or encouragement that you would give to the Manhattan community and what you've seen over the years you've been here now, and what would that one piece be?
Yeah, I guess I would say, like, even if it's not Hope Lutheran Church, and you have questions about God or the Bible, I know there's tons of other good pastors in this town who would be happy to meet with you and talk with you. And don't be afraid to get plugged in. I know it can be intimidating. I know it can be scary, but I can guarantee you that 99% of pastors would love to have someone just all of a sudden call them out of the blue and say, hey, my name is da-da-da-da-da, I'd love to talk.
Yeah.
Like, it might be scary, it might be intimidating, and maybe you're not ready for that kind of a step. But that's one encouragement I would have. And then maybe a second would just be like, even if it's not a church, find a community that you can be a part of, something that allows you to kind of disconnect from the online world. Online, you can get a sense of community, but that's a whole different thing than standing shoulder to shoulder with someone and actually hanging out with them. So those two things are what I would say.
No, I love that. That's awesome. And it's needed, right? I think we all go through phases. I was actually just talking to my wife about this, where it's like we go through phases of friendships and people and all those things, and they all serve a purpose at every point in our lives, but having somebody there and having that sense of community is really important. So I love that. Okay, so big question, right? It's very simple, but it could be a long one, so I love it. What's next for Hope Lutheran Church?
Yeah, we're thinking our way forward. We're trying to just engage with the community, love the community, love the people who are there, be pastor, and serve the people who are already in the congregation. I guess right now we worship in the All Faith Chapel, and that is a great space, and it works really well, and we're super thankful to the university for being willing to rent that space to us. Yeah. I'm sometimes a little nervous to let people know how great it is, because it is a great space. But I would love to see us in 2 years have somewhere that we could call our own. Yeah. That we could say, this is our home. And we get not just on Sundays, but we have it Sunday through Saturday and every single day. So that's something I'm always keeping my eye on moving forward. And then as far as just, again, ways to serve, we're doing this Cat's Cupboard drive coming up. I'm looking, haven't totally finalized anything, but maybe doing like a toy drive. I know there's Toys for Manhattan that's here in town. Do something similar where it's like, hey, we have 20 people who are willing to go try to find toys for you guys. Different things like that. And then there's always just trying to make Sunday mornings the best that we can make it. And so I can't single out any one thing in particular, but we're looking to the future. We're trying to move ahead, and we're confident and moving forward and seeing what God does. We're going to work like it all depends on us. We're going to trust like it all depends on God. That's what I say a lot of the time. So
that's awesome.
Moving forward.
And I think the big one too is growth and serve. I mean, I think that's what I've been seeing and hearing this whole day today, is that just growth and serve for you guys, and kind of figuring out better ways to serve, more ways to serve, in that sense of it. So I love that. I love that for you guys and what you guys have already done in the last couple of years. So, all right. So kind of before we kind of wrap it up a little bit, I want to know, and I want our viewers to know, how do they get a hold of you? You've given your cell phone number and all that stuff, but do they get a hold of you? Do they show up? What's the best way for them to come meet or meet you guys where you're at?
Yeah. So again, I'll say it, my cell phone number, 262, it's a Wisconsin number, 262-354-4269. That's a great way to connect with me. That's my personal cell phone number. So if you want to call me, if you want to text me, that takes you right to me. My email address, pastor@ManhattanHope. You can email me there, and I try to do a pretty good job of watching that and managing that and everything. And we have Facebook. We're not very active on Instagram, but Facebook, we're on there. Our church website, manhattanhope.com. You can find out more about what we're doing on there. And then my office, since we don't have our own physical location, my office is in the K-State Foundation building. At same building where you have Rock and K's. There's a co-work space that's kind of tucked back there. And so if you show up at Rock and K's, go down by the bathrooms, find the co-work space. That's where you'll find me back there with the United Way ladies, Girls on the Run. And there's a couple other organizations that are in there. So
love it.
Lots of ways to connect.
Love it. I love it. So before we kind of wrap it up, is there anything else you want to add to the whole interview? No. Thanks for letting me hang out and let me talk. Always. So Dan, thank you so much for joining. And guys, I will tell you this, for anybody that's still here watching, reach out. I think one of the biggest things that we as a community as a whole, and as just the people in general, we get too scared to actually take that action step. He gave you his personal cell phone number. I can attest to that, by the way. He gave you your personal cell phone number. Reach out, text him, call him, You have that cup of coffee, whatever that looks like. If you need help in any which way, whatever it may be, maybe you need volunteers, maybe you need to talk to somebody that, that doesn't know you but is willing to listen. Talk to them, right? Reach out to Dan, reach out to his congregation, and just go see what they're about, because I think you will not be disappointed. And don't be afraid to just be there, be present, and be around a good group of community that will be there to support you in every which way that you can. So anyway, I want to say thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. This has been a really fun one for me. I love hanging out with Dan and his family. They're fantastic humans. So I just want to say thank you guys very much for watching. And as always, if you do enjoy this content, please go and hit that subscribe button. Go and hit that little bell so you get notified of any future content. And as always, if you have anybody that needs to see this video or wants to see this video, share it with them. Get them in touch with Dan and his group, and get them over there to the All Faiths Chapel on K-State, and go take a look at what they're about. Just show up. You don't even have to be loud or anything that way. Just show up and see what they're about before you kind of engage with them at that point, right? So I do appreciate it. Don't be afraid to reach out to Dan. I want to say thank you again. Dan, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks, Kyle.
Appreciate it. And until next time, thank you for watching.